Anticipating and preventing chasm. Because of the psychological differences between groups, these groups pertains to early adopter and early majority, which will be discussed later. An inherent credibility gap exists that arises when one moves through the curve. This gap is called chasm, which was illustrated in figure 4.4, chasm in the diffusion curve due to psychological differences. This results in a serious slowdown in sales growth and thus development of the startup. Again, they are referred to as chasm, the sudden slowdown in growth of sales of a new product. Apart from the need to align their message and arguments to each customer group to convince them, entrepreneurs often need to modify their product and price to resolve the problem and get to the next stage. The groups I mentioned that represent a unique psychographic profile are early adopter and early majority. Early adopters are not technologists. They are people who find it easy to imagine and appreciate the benefits of a new technology and to relate these potential benefits to their other concerns. Because early adopters don't rely on well-established references in making this buying decision, preferring instead to rely on their own intuition and vision, they are key to opening up and high-tech market segment. The early majority are driven by a strong sense of practicality. They are content to wait and see how other people are making out before they buy in themselves. They want to see well-established references before investing substantially. Winning their business is key to any substantial profit and growth. By being the first to implement this change in their industry, the early adopters expect to get a jump on the competition. Being the first, they are also prepared to bear with the inevitable bugs and glitches that accompany any innovation just coming to market. By contrast, the early majority want to buy a productivity improvement for existing operation. They do not want to debug somebody else's product. Because of these incompatibilities, early adopters do not make a good reference for the early majority, but good references are necessary for the early majority to buy. The only suitable reference for an early majority customer is another member of early majority, but no member of early majority will buy without first having consulted with several suitable references. The difficulty in predicting slowdowns in growth after steep initial growth is what makes chasm so dangerous. It also explains why they may prove hard to cross for any entrepreneur. So what does chasm really connote? It's that the point early in a company's life where user adoption and market penetration have stalled and the company is desperately searching for a second wind. The company's playbook is not working as it did before. The revenue has flatlined. Growth has stalled. Experiments are not yielding desired insights, and the product is in real danger of entering zone of failure. The chasm exists because after a certain point of selling the product to early adopters, a sales plateau is reached where the next stage of growth is to take the product to the masses. This gap is between the innovators and the early adopters. The gap shows that those first two segments are widely different from the other ones, and what works with them won't work with the rest. They're innovators and early adopters, people willing to try new stuff even if it's buggy or feature poor. There are different breed from everyone else. They buy things differently. They have different motivation. They have different budgets. These are the people who line up at the Apple store to try the new. latest thing even when they know the first generation will have a lot of problems. The early majority, on the other hand, is much more conservative. They want to see reviews, get on the phone with you, and wait until they see someone else using your product. When they make a purchase, teams of people are involved in the decision. We have two important chasm at the front end cycle in figure 4.4. Early adopter chasm. Many entrepreneurs are reluctant to commit to a particular market niche while their product is still under development. However, to begin making inroads and develop a relevant customer reference for new customer, such marketing choices are needed. The more quickly the product's final configuration is identified, the more effective the reference will prove in attracting other innovators, and the faster a transition from innovators to early adopters may occur. The best example of early adopters is that of the first iPhone by Apple. When it was first launched in 2007, the iPhone was priced at $600. The price was quite high as Apple lacked any experience in the industry. An early adopter is one who tries new products before most other consumers. Early adopters are more common with technology products. They provide feedback to the vendor and help them to refine the features, design, distribution, and support. Early majority chasm. The second chasm is much overlooked gap between the early adopters and the early majority. It is caused by the fundamental difference between these two groups. Like innovators, early adopters make their own decision. They have a vision. While norms in the marketplace are still developing, they aim to be ahead of the majority of the market and score a technological competitive advantage for their organization. The early majority, on the other hand, are pragmatists who only buy if the application can be readily integrated in their current process. They generally use up substantial amounts of their budgets on consultants and other opinion leaders looking for advice. For the early majority to be able to compare options, a product should have competition. They suggest that alternatives should exist or be actively identified. An entrepreneur can facilitate this process by identifying substitute and highlighting pros and cons for each product. The early majority or pragmatists have represented the bulk of market volume for any technology product. The goal of pragmatists is to make a percentage improvement, incremental, measurable, predictable progress. Pragmatists are hard to win over. However, they are loyal once won over, often enforcing a company standard that requires the purchase of the product. In conclusion, of the bell-shaped model with its different categories of customer groups and their different demographic and motivational particularities can help us understand how a technology diffuses in the marketplace. Differences between adopters explain why diffusion may suddenly increase or decrease. Awareness of this potential chasm and the underlying mechanism enables entrepreneurs to prepare in time and take suitable action.